Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this should be the last weekly vlog of Pride Month. I have got several currently reads going on. I've got Deep in Providence and This Wicked Fate and also Everything Leads to You. But I have finished the audiobook of Henna Wars by Adiba Jagader, which is cool that it's set in Ireland and the author is Irish. This one's been around for a while. I've heard about it several times before I finally picked it up. It is about a girl who is a lesbian who comes out to her family and it doesn't go that well. And henna is a part of her culture, and so there's a school project where you're supposed to start a little business at school. And so she decides to do henna. But someone else who she is kind of semi-friends with also decides to do that because she got invited to a wedding and she saw it and thought it was pretty. And so she appropriates the main character's culture. And so that's part of the conflict. And there's also that the main character kind of likes this girl, also has a little crush on her. And so that relationship kind of develops. She also has a sister who she has a lot of relational stuff going on with. There's this stuff going on with her parents and how they worry people will look down on them because they have a lesbian daughter. Lots of stuff going on. But overall, it was fairly uplifting and sweet, but that's because I have never had the negative experience of this that this character had. Like, there's also forced outing involved, a fair amount of homophobia, so definitely be careful with this one. But I liked how the relationship between the two girls developed and also the development overall. It was really cool to see how things worked out. I believe I gave it 4 stars.
This is Tasha, and she is adorable. Yes, there's your little face. And there's your little tail. Oh yes, we got a pretty pink bow. Yes, yes. Oh, what pretty curly hair we have. Yes.
Of June, and I'm about halfway through This Wicked Fate. I thought I would read it fairly slowly because it's got a fair amount of dark stuff, but the action picked up a lot after the first 15%, so it's moving pretty fast now. And there's a lot of learning stuff and meeting new characters and learning about other characters a lot more that moves fast but isn't stressful, so that's nice. It's been a fairly pleasant reading experience, and also has stuff about how the main character has plant powers, and her family used to run kind of an apothecary in a little town, a little magical apothecary. So and she's kind of learning about that and how cool that is, and I really love that kind of thing, so I'm enjoying it a lot. So, yesterday, RVW was overturned. If you don't want to think about that, I respect that. I will put a time code. They've been trying to do this for about 40 to 50 years, and they finally got enough corrupt justices to do it. I say corrupt instead of just wrong or something else, because they know it's wrong. Readily available facts show that it doesn't save any lives. But they're doing it anyway for reasons of white supremacy, classism, keeping a workforce, and control over people with uteruses, while still being aware that rich people will still be perfectly able to do what they want with their bodies. And it specifically said in the papers that go along with the decision that they are planning to also look at, meaning overturn, the laws that promise things like gay marriage and birth control availability. Not like free birth control, but just having it be legally available. So, in addition to trying to overturn pieces of legislation in court cases that are liberal, they also have a very specific agenda to have forced birth be a thing and have more babies. And they even specifically said in some of the papers that were leaked that they are citing a lack of babies up for adoption, which is human trafficking. Do I think it's a coincidence that they finally came to the decision during the January 6th hearings? No. Fox News will now have something to report on because they were refusing to cover those cases. And yeah, the Constitution was made by bad people for a very select group of bad people. Rich, white, racist bigots who are also sexist, and that is who it is for. And if we go by the Constitution, that is who the country will always be for. There are various organizations working to provide uterus havers' needs in this time, and I will link them below. White Rage, the book, talked about how in response to Obama getting elected, we've seen a wave of hatred rise. That is a common response of white people and other and subgroups in power, such as cis hetero people and men. That responds to any progress on the side of black people, women, gay people, etc. But specifically, especially black people, with great deal of anger. And so we've been seeing that get worse since, when was that, 2008? And of course they were always working to make it worse, but they got a big boost in 2008. A lot of anger was fueled at that point. But yeah, I don't really know what to say as far as what we can do systemically, because 80% of people in the US believe in abortion rights, but that doesn't matter. So changing people's minds on a mass scale doesn't really matter, because the power is concentrated in a very small amount of people. So there's that. Short term, there's obviously the programs I'm going to link below, but just feeling a bit deflated right now. Outfit of the day. I've got my Ace shirt that I got from Etsy, and also this skirt, which I found out, I googled and found out is the gender fluid flag, but it was from Target. And it's so cute. You know, I go by the little girls' clothes in stores a lot, or the stuff marketed to little girls, and I'm like, why don't they make this in adult sizes? But this is an adult size twirly, swishy, frothy skirt. It's so cute. Hi, Frodo. Hi, Frodo. So we're camping. It's like the 28th, and we're in Idaho instead of Mount Rainier where we usually camp, because we needed to be kind of close to my brother so we can help him move at the end of this week with the truck that we are using to camp with. And this little trip throws into relief how fragile my being okay is, because, you know, I'm going along. I've got all my measures in place that are there to make sure I don't get stressed, like not going out of the house that much, having my same foods all the time, being in an air-conditioned place pretty much all of the time, having my cats, stuff like that. And normally when we go camping, we go to the same place every year, same specific camping site every year, not just campground, but the site. And everything's always the same. But going to this different place, not only is it different, but it's inferior, as every place is, because we have whittled down the best possible site for me in all the places we've ever camped, and that's where we keep going. Whereas this one doesn't have privacy, it doesn't have a creek near it to keep temperatures down and to be alone by, because creeks are in little ravines where you can be by yourself. Yeah, the privacy is the biggest thing, because when there's undergrowth, you can't see other campers even if they're only 40 feet away from you. Whereas we're within 30 feet of other campers here, and there's no undergrowth, so you can see them and they can see me, which makes me anxious. So I have to stay in the camper most of the time, which makes me feel not good, and doesn't get me to enjoy the nature part, which is what camping is for. Semi-meltdown happened. I wasn't angry. I was just sad, crying, sobbing, that kind of thing, by myself, because I much prefer to do that by myself, and I was fortunately able to do that. I'm under positively stimulated, because a lot of what entertains me when I'm camping normally is running around the campground. I guess it's probably a type of stimming, jumping up on logs and stuff like that, which can't do here. Even if people couldn't see me, there aren't logs and stuff to jump on. Aren't these curtains adorable though? They're leftover fabric from when my mom made a forest themed quilt. My mom's being very sweet about it, even though I have had some irritable times. She's trying to help. There's not much she can do, but she's being understanding and acknowledging that I'm having a hard time, which means a lot. Is really actually quite helpful in and of itself. I completely forgot the reason I actually picked up the camera was to give you an update on books. So I finished This Wicked Fate. Loved it. As I said, it picked up a lot, so I finished it pretty quickly. Yeah, there's not much I can say without spoiling it that I haven't already said, but it was very good. I think that's another 5-star one. Yeah, then I finished Hood Feminism, the audiobook. I listened to the last of it in the truck on the way up here, and yeah, it did, in addition to rehashing stuff that I have heard before, which is still valuable, it also introduced some topics, showed how some topics are related to feminism that aren't always brought up in feminism discussions, like housing needs and food needs and medical care other than abortions, and how people needing all of those things are feminist issues, not only because women need them, but because they are necessary building blocks of an equal society. So that was cool to listen to. And I really like how the chapters are broken down by subject, so it's really easy to like find a particular bit of information you were looking for by the chapter, so I like that. And now I'm still in the process of reading deep in Providence. I've got maybe 20 more pages of that read, but I've switched mostly to The Sisters of Reckoning, which is much faster paced and less creepy. Not less dark exactly, but less creepy. So it's easier for me to read. And I like the old style of the covers better. This looks kind of more sci-fi-ish to me, which it's more of a fantasy than sci-fi. And they've also redone the other cover, which I like way better than the one pictured here. This little cover. I feel like the other cover gives Western vibes much more, which is the vibes you get from the actual content of the book. So I'm not sure why they reworked it, but hopefully it will appeal to people because quite a good book so far. I'm like 60 pages in and enjoying it and liking where the story is going and still enjoying the characters. And we've also met a new character named Raven, who's a trans woman, and is joining up with our main character to do cool things and fight back against the bad regime. Okay, so where we were camping was, as I might have said, in Idaho, and it's a lot less wet than where we usually go, but there were some wildflowers, some pretty purple things that I don't know the name of. And something else that was fun is there were a lot of ground squirrels at our camp, and so they're very different than the gray squirrels that I'm used to, and also chipmunks. They're different from, so they move a lot more like weasels. They stay low to the ground and keep their tails low to the ground, and they have these little short, skinny tails. They're very funny looking, and they also pop up like prairie dogs, and will look at you and will also chirp at you if you are bothering them. So that was kind of fun and entertaining, and I actually went kayaking and enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought that I would be scared of falling in the whole time, but after the first couple of minutes I realized that I can move quite a bit without making the kayak unsteady, and it was very much a workout for my back and arms, and was also anaerobic versus aerobic, which is what I like. So I was actually quite comfortable doing it, and it didn't make me super tired, so that might be something that I do more of in the future. Oh, also we went up to Sandpoint and did some antique shopping, and also had pie at a place called the Pie Hut, which is super kitschy, decorated, and very cute, and has delicious pie. I had German chocolate pie, and it was delicious. Then we were also able to come home a day early, which was really nice, because I was getting very tired out of the whole thing, because we were able to move my brother a day early. So and I also got to visit with his cat, and also while we were moving my brother, there was a neighborhood cat who came around, and he has a collar on, so he's all good, but his name was Bruno, and he was adorable. Oh, you're cute. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, you have very orange eyes. Yes. Oh.
Well, does Peter want the food in here? Or?
Oh, he's got a big Tupperware thing full of food.
Yes. Yeah. Your name is Bruno. Yes. Yeah, you're a good boy. You are a good boy. Frodo has a tendency to do this when I'm about to film. He steals my chair. Yeah, you stole it. You stole it.
Okay, y'all, I did my makeup, so I am filming a sum up of a book that I finished, The Sisters of Reckoning. I worked really hard to finish this while we were camping. If you enjoyed The Good Luck Girls, you will enjoy this. It is more of that. It is more of that Western vibe with also the magic and the weird technology where things are run on voltricity instead of electricity and work slightly different. Like you can shoot voltricity. Ghosts are a big part of this. There are remnants who are kind of just fading away ghosts, and then there are vengeance who are coming to get you. And you have to use these certain magical stones to keep them away. And there's lots of queerness in this book. And so as I said, we have a new trans side character. We also have the same same couple of women from the last book come back in this book. And then we have the ever-growing romance between our main character and a lady that she likes, as well as having her have a couple of men who are love interests, one of whom I really, really liked, and I actually cried at a scene at the end when she's talking to him. It was so sweet. But yeah, it's also more revolution. We're going back for the girls that we weren't able to rescue before, and I love that so much. It's also about bringing together people from who are oppressed in different ways or for different reasons, and having them all recognize that they have a common enemy, and that if they work together there are enough of them to overthrow the bad guys, and I really like that aspect as well. And then I finished So This Is Ever After, which is an adorable story about a very D&D style quest with all of the what are they called, archetypes. We have a rogue, a bard, a knight paladin type person, a mage, wizard, a warrior, and a main character who has a prophecy that he's going to defeat the Vile One. And so we come into the story right as he does that and figures out that somebody now needs to rule this country because the Vile One was ruling the country, and then gets kind of magically stuck being the ruler of the country, and there's a magical rule that he needs to find a soulmate. And so he already has a huge crush on his wizard person, and he is so awkward and bad at going about telling the person he likes them that even though it's very obvious to the reader and all of the other characters that the wizard likes the new king, he manages to fumble it so badly that he thinks the wizard doesn't like him, and so goes on a quest to make the wizard fall in love with him by courting his other friends. It's a gigantic mess, but it's also really funny and cute and has a lot of tropes involved, and everybody is very open about sexualities in this world, so that is cool. There's lots of queer people all over the place, and there's no heteronormative expectations. Like, nobody assumes that anybody's straight, and not many of them are straight. A really fun read. I listened to that one on audiobook, so I listened to that a lot while we were driving to and from camping. It kind of helped keep me not horrendously bored. So I finished Deep in Providence, and how I did that relatively quickly is that I skipped from page 250 to page 350 and didn't miss out on much. Like, some big things happened, but they were all like, I found out about them in the text afterwards, like they were talked about. And I did that because it was a bit boring, and it was a lot sad and a little creepy, and so I wasn't enjoying myself totally, but I did want to know what happened. So I didn't skip all the way to the end. I just skipped some way to the end, so that I would still have kind of context for what the ending was going to be. So this is about 3 characters, all the non-ghosty looking ones on the cover, who are trying to bring back the ghost the ghost of their friend who died, and this one here has particular guilt about her friend dying. Then we have Inez, who has a Catholic family and who has problems with her being sexually active. And then there's Natalie, who has a mother who is addicted to drugs of various kinds, and so her mother is absent most of the time. And this girl has a magical family where her family has practiced magic, and so that's the magic they're using to try to bring back this ghost. And trying to bring back the ghost opens the veil or whatever between worlds, so other ghosts start popping up and being creepy. So that's the creepy aspect. And then we have all those other dark aspects of family problems and dealing with grief a lot and guilt, and it's quite well written. It's just a bit longer than it probably needs to be to get the point across, but it does look at a lot of different topics. So like teen pregnancy is in there as well, so if you want to look at those things in depth, you probably would enjoy reading the whole book. I do prefer faster paced books in general, unless there's something I really, really love about a slow paced book that like makes up for it. So there's a personal taste issue there. It does pick up a lot in the last 70 pages, as a lot of books do. So yeah, it's not a failing of this book, it's just my personal taste. 3.75 stars, maybe. And anything else I started during this vlog, I think I will include in my first half of July wrap up. So this will be the end of the vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. That's the water pump in my room going off. Bye!